again, we did some good things, but practicing 3 days and 20 days is just not going to get it done. You can't play the way you'd like to, but they're doing the best I think they can right now. As far as what's happened this week, first of all, I think the county, Ryan McMahon and Dr. Gupta have done a great job helping us through both times. I think one thing that needs to be noted, we've tested our players over 600 times, and we've had 2 positives. None of the guys that play a lot. One guy, the latest guy's a walk-on, and the guys were near him. We have chips, so we know how many minutes. And I think the state has done a great job. The governor's done a great job with this. Since this thing started, people are dying. The positive tests are going crazy. But I think if you look carefully, our players have been great. 600 tests and 2 positives, both away from the team. Neither one is the team. The other thing, since the first test, we've tested 260 times and we have 1 positive. Since the last positive, we've tested 160 different tests with no positives. The interesting thing, and everybody's got their opinions, and again, I think the governor has handled this great, the state. I think the difference, we don't have a national all year long. If you're within 15 minutes, you're going to have to, can't remember the word, quarantine. Buddy was under 15 minutes, but more than 10. So the state, New York State's rule is 10 minutes. Again, we have no national standard, no leadership. So everybody has their own thing. The CDC, which is supposed to be well thought of, thoughtful, quarantine to 7 days with a positive test. Consecutively in his 8th day. Pennsylvania changed to adapt to the federal government, to the CDC. New York State has not. I mean, if there's a valid reason why the CDC says 7 and New York State says not, I mean, I don't know. If I was sitting out, I'm sure fans wouldn't be that upset, but I'll bet they're upset that Buddy's sitting out. I'm not just his coach, I'm his father. He's crying, dying at home, not being able to be here. He's worked all year, stayed away from anything, has had no positive test, and he's been tested 40 times. And he wasn't scrimmaging, he was near a guy. But again, it's the difference in what the CDC says and what the state says. I mean, our county executive is sitting home now for 14 days. So he's not able to go to work. I mean, you can work from home, but you can't do your job from home like you can if you're there. And he's been out 8 days. You know, I'm sure he's negative. He'd test negative. He'd be able to go back to work. I haven't talked to a doctor yet that said if you're 7 days afterwards and you're tested negative, but it is what it is. We have to live with it. You know, we have to get ready each game. Whoever's here, again, this was a good opportunity for Kadar, and he took advantage of it and did some really good things tonight. But the overall effect of not practicing now 17 out of 20 days is very hard to get your team where you want to be. I thought we did some things defensively tonight than we have. But again, you know, Bryant's a much more ready team. I just think we didn't leave as many open shots. Kadari got up and made his couple steals. He made a couple nice blocks. So I thought we were a little better defensively. You know, Marek's pretty smart. Again, I thought Woody did a nice job. I was really happy with his activity. And I thought Bo gave us some action out there. But again, a lot of work to do. This was a good game to have, try to get better. And we'll get ready to try to play Saturday now.
Thank you, Coach.
I emphasize again what a great job the county did, Dr. Gupta did, helping us through this and trying to get us to where we can play. And I think everything's done right. I think the 7-day quarantine from everybody that's talked to me is that's enough. Not just Buddy, get county executive back to work, get people back to work. If you've been exposed to this and you don't get it in 7 days and you're negative, I mean, how can it be right nationally and right in Pennsylvania, but it's not right here? I mean, there's just been no leadership from the beginning from the federal government. This should all be standard stuff. Everybody should be wearing masks. Everybody should be social distancing. Everybody should be under the same quarantine rules. You know, Gonzaga gets two. There's none in this whatsoever. But I know the state's going to reconsider this and look at it. I hope they do. You know, Buddy's going to be out for another 7 days. So, I mean, unless there's changes. Questions?
Reminder to use the raise your hand function and please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Our first question will come from Mario Sacco.
Coach, last time we talked, you talked about when you tested positive in another player, your whole team had to sit out 14-day quarantine. What was different in the talks that you guys had that you were able to play today's game?
Well, we have the computer chips now, so everybody knows exactly how many minutes they were next to the player. It was not in a scrimmage. He was on the sideline. And if you're standing next to him, and that's what happened, Buddy and 4 other he got it. But the chips do help. If you're not near somebody, like with me, Dr. Gupta was not going to take the whole team out because I wasn't near a player more than 2 minutes entire practice because I stay as far away as I can. And, you know, unfortunately the player got it, and so he was scrimmaging, so that she did take the team out. Now, the interesting thing is, and I talked to Dr. Gupta about this, national, everybody thinks that. We practiced 2 days with the infected player 16 days ago, whatever, 18 days ago when it happened. No one on our team got it. No one. And then, of course, he had to go into quarantine, and the rest of the team went into quarantine. But the chips do tell us how many minutes you're near somebody. And like I did it for the coaches, especially, and the managers, so that if one of us got it, like I did, we don't meet, we don't huddle. When we watch film, we're spread out. When we do our warm-ups, we're spread out, are not even near each other that much. It's if you really don't, nobody would realize this, but even if you're scrimmaging against somebody and you're moving, they go to the next player and they can measure everything. I think the NFL might be exactly how many minutes at the end of practice you were next to somebody. So, I mean, you could be 10 to 15 minutes, but you might be 4 or 5. But at least it gives us an opportunity like tonight to play. You don't just blanket say the whole team's out for 14 days. And the 14-day thing they just established that in the beginning. There's no science to that. It's just like, well, 14 days. Yeah, okay. Now, all of a sudden, it's 7 days. And I hope that's based on watching and seeing what's happened, seeing what happened with our team. We had a player practice for 2 days and nobody got infected. No one. The only players that got infected were away. Our first case was off campus and the second case is off campus. That's both. In my case, I was out, went out to dinner. That's where I got. So, I mean, we're learning more about this, but I think the CDC thing, I don't know if there's a, and I don't think, I mean, I know there's a problem with the president and the governor, but I don't think the president had anything to do with this CDC decision. This was just, they're looking at the science, looking at the facts, and deciding that 7 days and you test negative, you're out. If you didn't test, they say 10 days, but we're testing almost every day now. And like I said, we've had 600 tests on our players, and we've had 2 positive, both away from the team. You know, players have done an amazing job of taking care, and the county and Dr. Gupta have been very helpful in trying to work with us and trying to see what can be done. And hopefully, you know, we're learning and we can move forward. But in this case, you know, Buddy suffered. And I'm not talking to his coach, but I'm his father. And he's home brokenhearted because he's worked his tail off every day since last season ended to be on the court. And he hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't tested positive yet. And he could, but he hasn't. And again, he was 14 minutes next to the infected player. CDC, he wouldn't be in quarantine. It's 10 minutes. But we have no national leadership or standard on this stuff.
Wanted to
my questions already, but I'm curious about, are the guys wearing them outside of the court as well, or are they just wearing them on the court? The devices, can you hear me?
They're wearing the chip all the time from when they get in the building to when they leave.
Okay. And they wear,
we don't let them go in the locker room at the same time. We just let 4 go in at a time. So we're doing everything we can so that we have a good case if somebody tests positive, that all these guys don't have to quarantine. It doesn't mean that, you know, it could be more than 1 if we get it, but we'll see.
do you know when there could be some sort of movement about the quarantine period?
No idea. It's a political decision.
Thank you.
Our next question will be from Danny Emmerman.
Hey, Jim, can you tell us how many people involved with the program along with Buddy are in this contact traced group that are in quarantine now?
I just told you.
Sorry?
I told you.
How many?
5 total.
Got it. Thank you.
Next question will be from Mark Larson.
Coach,
Yeah.
Coach, you seem obviously very frustrated and exasperated with all this. Is this going to kind of be one of those seasons where you just have to, you know, get through all these distractions and somehow play games? It's very important to play games, obviously.
It doesn't matter what happens in life. You've got to get ready for the next day. You know, we're just simple as that. Whether we have more tests or don't, you just have to get ready and go play. That's as simple as that. Players understand that. I think the biggest problem that what I'm upset about, 20 days ago, we were playing basketball at 5 times the level we're at right now. 5 times the level. And we're just, you know, Joe is a shooter. Shooters need to practice. They need to be in the gym. And he just doesn't quite have his rhythm. And Alan, Joe, and Buddy were making 70% of their threes in practice. I mean, that's practice. That's probably high. But now in practice, they're probably making 35%, 40. It's just when you lose that rhythm, you know, basketball is a game you have to go out there and you have to put the work in as an individual, but also as a team. And when you lose that, we missed 14 days and then we missed 3 days this week, 17 days, I think, total. And it's just, you just can't function as a team like that. And Niagara is in the same position. They were off for a long time. And now they, you know, they've had like, what, 4 days of practice? I mean, I thought they did a good job. I thought they played well. I thought they, you know, well coached and did a lot of good things. We defended the shooters a little bit better than we did in the first game, but then when they did get some open looks, they missed. So, I mean, that happens.
So you said you missed 3 days this week. You didn't practice?
Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Practice Saturday after the game. Buddy made about 10 threes in a row. Then he was out. But again, that's just the, you know, it's the hand you're dealt. You try to get through it as best you can, but it's not good for your team. Because you're going to run into teams that have avoided everything. And, you know, they're going to be ready to go. So it was just so many days. You know, if you were out 7 days, you can maybe kind of get back going a little bit sooner. But 14 days is really hard. But again, Dr. Gupta and the state were very good. They looked at the chips, they looked at the information, and they allowed us to move forward without putting the whole team in quarantine, which again, is all credit to them. You know, you can agree with 90% of what somebody's doing, and the governor to help New York State. But this is one issue that I think we should look at. That's all. I predict that someday we'll be in a 7-day quarantine period. It just seems to make more sense. The doctor that I've talked to said at the end of 7 days, if you're testing negative, you're not getting it.
Yeah, Jim, just trying to figure out now the timeline and everything with Buddy. Will he be able to play Saturday, or if not, will he be able to play Tuesday at Rutgers?
Not Tuesday. Saturday, you'll be back. But he'll be out 14 days, so what's that mean? You're going to come out and go on the road and play a game after 14 days? It doesn't disrupt, it not only hurts the team and the players, but it also hurts their next 7 days of performance or more. You know, you'll come back and have to go on the road and then have Notre Dame. I mean, you know, too much to ask of players.
And our final question will be from Matthew Gutierrez.
Hey, Jim. Just was curious if you're hopeful. Barama's timetable was slated at about a month. If you're hopeful you get him back in sometime in January, and then what you saw out of the centers tonight.
Well, Marek's doing a good job. I was happy with Ball's movement in there. I thought he did some things. Jesse started in and didn't get to the corner, and they made a three on the first play he was in. And, you know, again, the bigger guys will be better when we're playing bigger teams. These little teams that are spreading this out, we're better with a smaller center. But that doesn't mean they can't help us against the bigger teams. And but again, Marek's pretty smart in there, and you know, I think Quincy is just playing at a high level. He's rebounding. He's active. He can make threes. I mean, he made it tonight, but he can make threes. He makes them every day in practice. It's just a matter of gaining confidence, and he'll get there. Allen's still trying to figure out, he tries to go, when he caught the ball in Illinois, they just told him to shoot it. So he's catching and trying to shoot, and he's got to learn, I got a shot or I don't, and I got to pass and make a play. So it's going to be a work in progress. It's going to take some time to get him to see where his shot is and where the play is. And he's learning the zone. You know, it's tough when you have to play forward and guard. So he's still learning a lot of things. The big advantage Elijah Hughes had when Elijah came in, he redshirted. He learned putting on the floor. He had a lot of workout situations. So it was really helpful for him. And the first year he didn't have to do a lot with the ball. And then the second year he was really good. So Allen will learn. He's just got some work to do there. But, yeah.
Great.
Any more questions? Anybody have an urgent question? I don't mind answering a couple more. Go ahead if you do. If not, we'll move.
We actually have 2 more, so we'll finish up with those 2. Our first
Okay.
will come from Anthony from the Daily Orange.
Yep.
Hey, Jim. Quincy has really been able to kind of push through the out of rhythmness so far this season, while the guys may be struggling. What have you seen from Quincy that he's been able to avoid that?
Well, he's so physical and strong, and Marek is taking the bigger guy away, so there's more space underneath for him to rebound, and he's just focused on that. I mean, he's doing a great job rebounding. I mean, you know, he's getting four offensive rebounds in, 25 minutes, and those are all basket. You know, he's really strong around the basket and finishing well. Again, you couldn't ask him to do anything more. I mean, he's been really good, double-doubles, both games. That's pretty good.
Our last question is from Dan Tortor.
Jim, just to look at Kadari Richmond and what you can say about him attaining is what we got to see from Woody Newton tonight as well.
I think he was good. I think if you ask him, he'll tell you he's not in shape. He's never really had to work this hard. He told a lot of people, I've never worked this hard in my life. And he's still not ready. I mean, he still gets tired pretty quickly. It's going to be a process. It happens with sometimes high school players coming in. They haven't run as much. They haven't been up and down as much. And, Woody's a good exception. Woody's pretty good up and down the court. But Kadari, he gets tired pretty quickly. But, again, he's got tremendous skills. And I really think but it's going to be a process. If we get out against a really pressure team and getting after him, I think he'd get tired in about 5 minutes. I mean, he's just going to have to get himself in better shape. But he's got the tools, and he showed that tonight. He showed the tools.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you,